Good evening, Dolphins fans. Welcome to another episode here of On the FinSide with Kat and Paul. Follow us on the FanSided Network, Twitter, Facebook, all of our social media outlets. The Dolphins lost here today to the Bills. The Bills covered the spread. The Dolphins were favored to lose by 14. The Bills won by 15. 26-11 here, Paul. And happy Halloween to you.
Happy Halloween to you too. I mean, God, the Dolphins dressed up as an NFL team for about 3 and 3/4 quarters.
They
Who
did.
knew?
They did. And their defense dressed up and had a really impressive performance. And their offense moved the ball throughout the game as well. And there were times that I thought the Dolphins were going to win this game. I got to be honest with you. And this is not some predetermined BS. This isn't like, okay, the Dolphins, what do we have to lose? I really thought they were going to lose, or that they were going to win this game, you know, halfway through the third quarter, but that didn't happen. And defensively, when you look at holding Josh Allen and the Bills offense to the end of the third quarter to 3 points, and that then not coming away with the win, that kind of stinks.
Well, not just that. I mean, even by the end of the game, they held the Bills' offense to 351 total yards. God, that muff punt! Talk about digging deep into the annals of the rule book for the reasoning why that ended up being a touchback instead of a safety. Ugh. Ugh. That would have been huge.
Yeah. Mm. It was a bang bang play. That's for sure. And there were a lot of them throughout the game. Offensively, Tua, you know, drilled the ball into Devontae Parker in the first two drives of the game. No doubt about that. And, this is the reason why Devontae Parker, even though he's not available for most of the season, why he is a difference maker and why he is a star for what he provided here today. This is why we talked about you don't trade him for a fifth-round pick.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because I hopped on DWA. There has their little pregame show, and I hopped on there today. And one of the things that I brought up was the fact that Devontae Parker, when he's out for a few weeks, usually has a big game when he comes back from an injury. So that could be a huge difference maker in this one.
Yeah,
And
because
it was till they stopped throwing to him.
yeah, he's been resting for 4 or 5 weeks. So now that he got back in, he was catching slants, he was catching passes over the top the entire game. Um, and the Dolphins could not quite get some balance on offense. And when you take a look at what the Dolphins did on the offensive side of the ball, their first drive, 12 plays, 56 yards, a missed field goal. Second drive, 13 plays, 26 yards. I don't even know how that's possible. And then they punt the ball. Third drive, 7 plays, 32 yards. Jason Sanders then nails a field goal. Fourth drive, 10 plays, 39 yards, punt. Then a turnover and downs. I mean, I really thought the Dolphins could have done it in this game.
They really should have. I mean, and yet again. So you said they were missing some balance in this game. I hated when they came out of the tunnel and you heard the sideline reporter. I forget who it was off the top of my head today. Don't really care. Talking about how Brian Flores seemed very calm and said we needed to get more balance and try to push the run game. And I'm sitting there screaming, just keep throwing it to Parker and Gesicki until they stop you. And it's yet again a week that it's like they forgot Gesicki, and I don't blame the guy for, not fully setting up where he was initially told to and trying to reorganize everybody on the field. That's going to be an interesting one to hear about this week.
Yeah. And when you looked at when the Dolphins were down 17-3, they threw the ball downfield on a 4th and 6 and finally extended the field to Mike Gesicki. Connected with him on a 40-yard play against Micah Hyde, who is a Pro Bowl safety, and then scored a touchdown and then had a 2-point conversion to bring the game within 17 to 11. And then the defense couldn't stop him. But why can't you extend the field earlier in the game? That's what never makes sense to me, because when the Dolphins throw the ball downfield, it opens up the running game. It brings less pressure on the offensive line throughout the game. But the Dolphins have never been able to reach that conclusion in the first half throughout the first half of the season.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, less pressure on the offensive line. Is there any less pressure than, hey, I don't even have to touch the guy from Jesse Davis? I don't think there is.
Jesse Davis, Austin Jackson, why are they on the field at this point? I mean, how many more drives does Austin Jackson have to ruin?
Jesse Davis, too. I hate to say it, Jesse Davis was the worst offensive lineman today, not Austin Jackson, even though Jackson was bad. I know Eichenberg had a rough game, but overall, he's shown a lot of promise this year, something that neither of the other two have done.
Yeah, Liam Eichenberg has an excuse. He's a rookie. He might be better at guard. Austin Jackson and Jesse Davis do not have that excuse. I mean, at offensive tackle, they were supposed to be the number 1 and number 2 uncontested offensive tackles this season. They've been embarrassing all year. And it's continuing. And even after Austin Jackson's moved inside, if you watch him off the snap, you watch Austin Jackson off the snap, he immediately tries to punch the guy in the face. I mean, he goes high so often, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, and getting low as a lineman is something you learn at the youngest ages of football. And apparently not everybody does.
Yeah, not him. Or he wasn't taught it. And Brian Flores, who is the smartest guy in the room, shades Brian Flores, Hey, Brian Flores, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Oh, Tua's our quarterback, huh? Huh? Yeah. Embarrassing.
Yeah, and in our chat, they brought up the fact that Robert Hunt let a couple guys today, too. I mean, 2 points on that. For one, almost every lineman's going to let somebody by a couple of times. Not every lineman, not every game, but it's going to happen. And for 2, Robert Hunt is playing out of position at right guard. He was pretty damn good at right tackle last year. And then, again, like Kat was just pointing out, the Dolphins went, we're smarter than everybody else. He's a great right guard. Nope. But he's a pretty great right tackle.
And Ed Oliver had a good game against Robert Hunt, no doubt about that. But
Ed Oliver has a great game against anybody on a football field.
Yeah, he's a good player, but he does well against a bigger offensive guards periodically. Right tackle Robert Hunt showed the ability to play the right tackle position at a very good level, and they should have kept him there. And I hope the next Dolphins coach that comes in here moves him back to right tackle and gets a left tackle to play at a similarly serviceable level. So, who knows?
Yeah, no, it's pretty brutal right now. I mean, I think it's harder today because of the fact that it felt like the Dolphins were going to win for so long in this game and that they were going to shock the world against the Bills. I really do.
Yeah, it did. And if you look too at the at the end of the third quarter, the Bills had a 17 play 82-yard drive, a 12 play 69-yard drive. It seemed like the Dolphins at a certain point cracked defensively after playing such a good game. And this kind of goes back to what you've said, Paul, is that they've had to go back to that amoeba style of defense. And we've seen that over the last two games where the Dolphins have just brought the heat and just lined seven guys along the line of scrimmage and then been more unpredictable with their defensive calling.
Yeah, and it felt like with a couple of backups playing, and Duke Riley, Brendan Scarlett, etc. today, they went out and got more creative with their play calling. I mean, it wasn't truly back to the amoeba style, but they got a little more creative, and they were able to bring a lot of heat today. There was somebody in the backfield on a lot of plays, and you saw it disrupting Josh Allen a lot of the time. And that's what they need to do with their starters on the field. It's call an aggressive game no matter who's out there.
Christian Wilkins had a very good game generating pressure. Jalen Phillips had a better game. Emmanuel Agba brought pressure. I mean, when you hold the Bills and Josh Allen to 3 points, everything's clicking. And the Dolphins offense could not, reciprocate that on the other end. Really on the secondary too. The Dolphins, Byron Jones, Xavier Howard did very, very well. Xavier Howard led up a touchdown to Stephon Diggs at the end of the game that put the Bills up 17-3. But before that, I mean, almost flawless effort from the secondary.
Yeah, no, I really like the game Nick Needham had today. Like you said, Javon Holland, Xavier Howard, Brandon Jones, Byron Jones, all of them really looked good out there in the secondary. I know Cole Beasley started turning it on a little bit in the second half and was such a pest. But overall, I mean, God, Stephon Diggs had that one touchdown, but besides that, he didn't do a lot today. The only one that they had that really was effective for them for most of the game was Cole Beasley.
Yeah, and that was the decider in this game. And it was not against Nick Needham in the slot necessarily, because at a certain point when the Bills could not do anything else on offense, they said, we're going to just pound the ball inside to Cole Beasley, and it worked. Mm-hmm. And the Dolphins were basically sending the house, getting pressure on Josh Allen any way that they could, and it worked too. But that's what really allowed the Dolphins or the Bills to break through and take the lead in this game here.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of digs at Tua in chat, so I'm gonna chime in here for a second. There were a lot of points in the first half where Tua was fitting the ball in some pretty special windows. I know he threw that late interception that sealed the game, but he was fitting the ball into some crazily tight places that you wouldn't think he should be able to. He was putting the ball in a good place for most of the game today. So, again, I don't fully fault Tua at this point. And that's not being a Tua lover. That's not being a Tua hater. That's not saying he's going to be the guy for the future. But again, he made a lot of very good throws throughout this game.
Yeah, Tua, I said before the game that against the Falcons and Jaguars, there was a lot of upward momentum for him. But also the Falcons and Jaguars had bad pass defenses. It's completely the opposite way now in this game, where the Bills have the best pass defense in the NFL. So that has to be taken into consideration too. Tua, 21 for 39, 205 yards on an offensive line that was embarrassing today. I mean, it was It was not good. I mean, Liam Eichenberg gets some slack because he's a rookie. Austin Jackson is embarrassing. Jesse Davis is embarrassing. And Austin Ryder at best is okay. And Robert Hunt is good at best. This is a D- offensive line in the National Football League. And people that don't understand that don't know football. I mean, I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm watching the Cowboys and the Vikings game here. This is not comparable to what the Dolphins are doing on the offensive line. It's just not comparable in the NFL.
Yeah, and I mean, like we keep saying every week, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, there are fixes on this team for what the Dolphins have to at least bring them up to a C plus on the offensive line. Throw Austin Jackson off the starting unit. Put in Solomon Kinley. Swap Robert Hunt to right tackle, and make Jesse Davis compete with Robert Jones and everybody else on the roster for the right guard spot. And you have a better offensive line. Period.
I couldn't agree more. And here's what you do is you take all the money and all the draft resources you have and you put them at offensive tackle and take every other offensive line solution you have and move them inside. Liam Eichenberg at left guard competing against Austin Jackson. Robert Hunt at right guard. Centers, Michael Dieter against Greg Mance. I mean, football is not that hard. I'm sorry. But to be just destroyed at offensive tackle every single week and to do it, 2 games in a row against the Buffalo Bills to the point where it ruins your offense, the Dolphins deserve it, and they deserved it when they started Austin Jackson and Jesse Davis at offensive tackle to begin the season.
Yeah, I mean, you almost have to wonder if maybe Miami could fix their tackle spot before the trade deadline. I mean, do you think somebody like Cam Robinson could come available now that Jacksonville drafted Walker Little?
Cam Robinson's going to be a free agent after the year, but that's a good thought. I would hope the Dolphins would put in a trade offer for Taylor Decker, because Taylor Decker at the end of the year, he's going to miss the year with I think a hand injury. He's going to be 29 years old. He's a upper echelon offensive tackle, not a Pro Bowl dominant offensive tackle, but if you put him at left tackle, you're going to probably solve the position for 3 to 4 years. And that's what I'm looking for. Throw the Detroit Lions a second-round pick for him. And then at right tackle, sign somebody in the offseason. Orlando Brown's a free agent. And there are a few other players that we'll talk about in the NFL draft who are also going to be players the Dolphins will consider in the first round.
I can see that. I mean, there's a lot of different things out there. I'm very curious to see if Miami does something that can help them this season, because as crazy as it sounds, with the schedule they've got, if they can fix the offensive line and start doing a couple of things here, they may not be completely out of it at this point. As weird as it is to say.
1-7, not completely out of it. I like your optimism.
Well, if they can fix the offensive line and what they can do with the schedule that they've got remaining, stranger things have happened.
That's what's frustrating about it. Because if they could have won one of the last 3 games, we could have something to talk about. Dolphins are 1-7 and don't have their first round draft pick this year. And part of that is because Jalen Waddle is a good player.
We've got San Francisco's, right? We've got somebody's first rounder. And
San Francisco won today. And they're probably going to be in the middle of that first round area.
Ugh.
It sucks. It sucks. It really does. And Jalen Waddle is a good player, and I feel bad for him. And a player that you liked in the 2007 draft, which you were not wrong on, was Ted Ginn. And I feel like Jalen Waddle is, moving toward that Ted Ginn like. No. Actually, I'll take
he's
that.
Better
back.
than Ginn. Oh,
Yeah, he's way better than Ginn.
Yeah,
he's way better than Ginn. But
here's an interesting possibility as a trade target I've heard is floating around that I meant to ask you about. Bobby Evans.
Yeah, Bobby Evans, guard tackle from the Rams. Yeah, I mean, could work. If you're talking about a 4th or 5th round pick, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, mid to late round pick.
Yeah, my issue with the Dolphins right now is that they're probably going to end up at the end of the season. We're talking about them spending 3 top 6 picks on the combination of Tua to Jalen Waddle, and that's not good enough right now.
Yeah.
And I just don't know what else to say on that. I mean, when you're talking in a league with Kyle Pitts doing what he's doing and Jamar Chase doing what he's doing, it's just not good enough. And Micah Parsons, man.
Basically, every target we've talked about.
How are the Dolphins this wrong this often? So, anyway,
you can't be this wrong and fully know football. And here's the problem I have too: is you see a lot of these guys come here, they look like trash, and then they leave and they do great. Whether it's free agents, rookies, you name it. And that pins it down to one thing for me. At that point, it's not the personnel department. It's the coaching. Because you can buy, we'll use a Bill Parcellsism here. You can go out and buy the best piece of filet mignon and all the best sides to go with it. And if you've got somebody in the kitchen that doesn't know how to actually cook it, you're still going to end up with a trash meal that other people could make phenomenally.
I agree with you. And I'll also amend that to say that how much input did Brian Flores have into the meal?
Mm-hmm.
I think he probably had a lot. I mean, when you take a look at Noah Igbenogany and Austin Jackson, for example, I don't think that Chris Greer would have just said that, hey, we're drafting these guys, good luck. There had to be some assimilation that Brian Flores is going to be able to develop these guys.
All I can picture, I'm sorry to laugh, is Greer going, hey, Brian, I can get you filet mignon to cook for dinner tonight. And Flores going, no, I like chicken nuggies and microwave mac and cheese.
Yeah.
That's what I like. Put on my plate now.
That's why I'm wearing these glasses right now. I mean, Brian Flores is a tough guy, and he's 1-7. 1-7.
A tough guy who likes his chicken nuggies and microwave mac and cheese.
And he's actually a Xavier Howard fumble away from being 0-9 in the last 9 games. 0-9. It sucks. It sucks, and the Dolphins don't have their first-round pick this year either.
We got to look at the point differential for the last 9 games because I'm sure it's utterly brutal.
Let me say this, though, too. I think the Dolphins defensively played well today. I thought they played really well. I mean, to get to the end of the third quarter and Josh Allen and the Bills offense not having more than 3 points on the board, that's impressive. And I hope that continues.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just don't know what else.
Then grades it is. Let's go.
All right, quarterback. So Tua Tagovailoa, I'm gonna go with a C for him
I'm going
because
to go with a B minus in this one. I mean, against the best pass defense in the NFL, he was threading through some decent windows. He had a rushing touchdown. He did have that interception. It wasn't enough, but it was above average, especially considering the defense that he was up against and the fact that the offensive line play, as we've more than eloquently explained already, was utter trash today.
yeah, his interception was also at the end of the game. And he squeezed the ball into tight spots today, and he just did not have a chance on certain plays. Yeah. Running back, I'm going to throw it to you.
I thought Gaskin and Ahmed looked good, but not great. And this is a tough front to run against. I like that they tried to get Ahmed and Gaskin involved in the passing game, even though it didn't fully work out. I can go with a C minus here today. But again, I think they started trying to force the ball to them when it was very obvious that Parker and Gesicki were the answer today.
I'm going to go with a D for them. They didn't do a lot wrong, and decent in the passing game. Patrick Laird should have been on this roster to begin with. That's for sure.
We talked endlessly about the chemistry that they have with Laird.
Yeah, absolutely. Wide receiver and tight end, I'm going to throw it to you too.
Oof. Not utilized enough. It was what was working today through no fault of their own. I mean, there were a couple of times where there were some miscommunications in this one. But again, through no fault of their own, really, for this loss. But I will say there were a couple of weird penalties today that I really want to get to the meat of before I totally put him against Gesicki. But I know he was trying to rearrange everybody when Tua was snapping the ball. And that was a little weird to me. But overall, I can give the receiving core a B.
I'm going to go with a C+. Devontae Parker showed why he's able to make a difference in the game. Jalen Waddle is a good football player, but did not make a difference today. And when you look at the tight end position, other than Mike Gesicki, I get consistently frustrated because when you have 5 tight ends on the team and Hunter Long is inactive and Sethan Carter, who you're paying $3 million a year for, who is just playing special teams, Durham Smythe is lined up out wide in the first quarter at wide receiver for some unknown reason. I don't understand the plan with tight end. So I'm going to go with a C+. I'm not sure what I graded them originally. Offensive line, embarrassing, awful. And if this offensive line had played somewhat well, we wouldn't be talking about a 13-play, 26-yard drive in this game. And so Austin Jackson, when you watch him play, just watch him.
I don't want
to on the all 22.
I don't want to.
Or in any. You don't even have to do that. You could see him get high out of his stance, duck his head, and get embarrassed every freaking play. It doesn't matter if it's left tackle. It doesn't matter if it's left guard. Jesse Davis. How many more years does this guy have to embarrass himself to? I mean, I don't know. Bring Dallas Thomas back as far as I'm concerned.
Yes. Give into the hate. Do it. What's your grade?
D minus.
I'm going D minus as well. The only things pulling that up are I thought Hunt had some serviceable plays in this one. And, Ryder was serviceable as well. Everybody else had a rough day. And I think I texted you at one point, Eichenberg, greater than Jackson, greater than Jesse Davis today.
Yeah. On the defensive side of the ball, I got to say, when you look at the front seven, one player that I think has gotten better, which I did not expect this year, is Christian Wilkins. And I thought he played very well today. And gets pressure on the quarterback more consistently than I thought he would. It's good. Emmanuel Agba is going to be a free agent after the year. It's given his age, he's 28, 29. Is he worth 13 to 14 million a year? That's going to be worth bringing up. Jalen Phillips needs to get consistently better. I think that he's a good player. This defensive line just can't seem to put it together at the same time. That's what frustrates me. But they did a good job today. And I'll tell you this, as far as the linebacker position, Duke Riley played the best inside linebacker game that I have seen from the Miami Dolphins this season, by far.
They didn't split him to the sideline, so.
He was better than Jerome Baker at any time this year. And Landon Roberts is the Austin Jackson of the defense, as far as I'm concerned. So as far as the front seven's concerned, it's a wide net. So maybe we need to bring it back together. But I'm going to go with a B+. But Landon Roberts brings it down probably from an A to a B+.
I'm with you. And you asked a very straightforward question: is Emmanuel Agba worth $14 million a year? And yes, he is. Sign him now, because you need to make it so you don't have to decide between him and Gesicki, because it's Gesicki all day. But Jesus, what Agba brings to this defense and the pressure he brings and the batted balls and everything else, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, I mean, if he were 26, I would say absolutely 100% yes. That's where I'm hesitant, but I'm willing to go back and forth on that.
I'm willing to give him one more contract. 3 to 4
years. At what
years.
Cost?
I'd be willing to do 3 to 4 years at an average of $14 million a year. No problem.
Okay. And he's big enough to hold the edge too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, he's just, once he loses a step, that's done. He plays a 3-4 edge position as well. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I can understand that.
You know what I really wanted today? I wanted Christian Wilkins to fight Josh Allen. We were so close a few times on that. I wanted it. I know I shouldn't want it.
I want Christian Wilkins to play a disciplined style of football.
99% of the time, yes, but I wanted him to fight Josh Allen today.
I think I'm surprised to say that he has emerged as a good football player. Like, I'm not talking about a difference maker. I'm not talking about, an Aaron Donald type of player, but at defensive tackle, he was just punishing people on the inside of the line. And I never thought Wilkins would be that type of player, especially when he came out of Clemson at 24 years old. So
I wanted to see how he is as an MMA fighter today, though.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see. Defensive back. I'm going to throw it to you.
Other than Justin Coleman, we talked about this earlier, the DBs had a good game today. Javon Holland flushed Josh Allen out of the pocket a few times. Brandon Jones made a few good plays. We saw Eric Rowe make plays today. Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, Nick Needham had a great game. Justin Coleman was meh yet again. But it didn't feel like he was on the field as much to ruin the game. So I can give the DBs a B+ here, and it's not a tough one at all.
Javon Holland is playing a big role in this defense. I mean, he is the last line of defense, and he is the punt returner, and he's not doing very well at that.
Well, it's not like, Miami has the option to just grab a all-pro punt returner. I mean, where would they get one of those?
How is Jakeem Grant doing right now with the Bears?
I will not like Bobby McCain. It's like an ex's Facebook page. I will not look.
Fair enough. Um, at cornerback, yeah, Justin Coleman did not appear to be on the field very much today. Byron Jones had a great game. Xavier Howard, one play when it was 10-3. Josh Allen threw a swing pass to Cole Beasley, and Cole Beasley threw it downfield, and Xavier Howard had it right in his hands and dropped it. And then the next play, Stephon Diggs just ran a slant route, caught a touchdown, made it 17-3 Dolphins, or 17-3 Bills. That's a shame. That's really a shame. And it's hard to dock Xavier Howard on that. But when you start looking at the contract, yeah, that makes sense too. Byron Jones, I thought, had a great game. And at safety, Javon Holland, I'm willing to be patient with, but there's a limit to that for me when he's the last line of defense. And safety-wise, Eric Rowe did a good job in his limited opportunities, as did Brandon Jones. So when you look at what happened here today, I'm going to go with a B+ for the secondary.
All right. Special teams, I'll take that one. Javon Holland, like you said, just charges at the defense. He did make a nifty move on one punt return. The Dolphins almost forced a huge turnover at the end of the game on special teams. Jason Sanders missed another field goal today. How long ago it feels like we were calling him Mr. Automatic and the Colonel. Now he's playing like, what the Colonel makes instead of the Colonel himself. But Mike Pilardi, I thought, had a great game for somebody that had to punt the ball 5 times. He averaged over 50 yards a punt. That one punt that got muffed should have been down inside the 5-yard lines, and I'll take that into account. I will go with... that missed field goal hurts. I'm going to go with a B- because of the missed field goal and the lack of anything in the return game.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a C for the reason you said there, because to me, the initial turning point in the game was Sanders missing that field goal and then Tyler Bass hitting a 57-yarder. If that didn't happen, then I'm not sure if the game would have turned out differently, but yeah. And then Javon Holland also caught a punt return and should have let it go, but Dolphins ended up at their own 7-yard line. So nothing positive for the Dolphins special team wise. So I'm going to go with a C. So Paul, who is your coach?
Real quick, just so you know, just like an ex's Facebook, you can refuse to look all you want, but your friends are going to tell you what she's up to anyway. And Jakeem Grant had 6 returns today for 156 yards.
I'm going to have to take a look at that later tonight.
Yep, me too.
Let's see.
All right, player of the game. Coke Bus player of the game. Can I go
player
first?
Of the game for you.
Steal mine?
Player of the game and Coke Bus player of the game for you.
Byron Jones is the player of the game for me. He had a great game that really helped keep them in this one. 1,000% effort across the board for him. And then as much as I hate Austin Jackson, I got to give it to Jesse Davis today for the Coke Bus player of the game. It was brutal. It was ugly. And he had moves today that would make a Matador proud. So Jesse Davis, you can put that big C on your chest, and it's for Coke Bus in today's game.
My player of the game is going to go to Devontae Parker, because I thought he was an actual difference maker, which is not a lot that I can say about the rest of the Dolphins roster. I mean, to come out with 68 yards in the first half, that's meaningful when you're a 28-year-old player on a reasonable contract. On the defensive side of the ball, as far as the Coke Bus player of the game, Landon Roberts. If you
Yes.
watch this guy play, he gets wiped out on every freaking play. Duke Riley was so much better than him. It was embarrassing. Like, I don't know why they resigned this guy. I don't know. So,
I'm not going to support the re-signing of Landon Roberts. I've said it before and I'll say it again. He's a guesswork player that's feast or famine.
and it is all famine right now with the Landon Roberts when he's wiped out on every freaking play. And that's how we're going to end the show